Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Sadowski here, and we're going to be starting the novel The Lemonade War. For those of you who are not familiar with this book series or author, great series. It continues on after The Lemonade War, and if you've got a brother or a sister, you probably will be able to relate very well to this. And even if you don't have a sibling, this will be pretty eye-opening for you, and you can probably imagine some situations with friends or other relatives. So here we go. Chapter 1, Slump. Slump, a drop in the activity of a business or the economy. You'll notice every chapter will have a word like this, and you need to be thinking about this word and its meaning as we go through the chapter. Evan lay on his back in the dark, throwing the baseball up in a straight line and catching it in his bare hands. Thwop, thwop. The ball made a satisfying sound as it slapped his palm. His legs flopped in a V, his arms stretched up to the ceiling, and the thought that if he missed, he'd probably break his nose and make the game just interesting enough to keep going. On the floor above, he heard footsteps, his mother's, and then a long, loud, scraping, groaning sound. He stopped throwing the ball to listen. His mother was dragging something heavy across the kitchen floor, probably the broken air conditioner. A week ago, right at the beginning of the heat wave, the air conditioner in his mother's attic office had broken. The man from Sears had installed a brand new one, but left the old one sitting right in the middle of the kitchen floor. The Truskies had been walking around it all week. Scrape! Evan stood up. His mom was strong, but this was a two-person job. Hopefully she wouldn't ask him why he was hiding in the dark basement. And hopefully Jessie wouldn't be in the kitchen at all. He'd been avoiding her for 2 days now, and it was getting harder by the minute. The house just wasn't that big. Evan had his hand on the railing when the scraping noise stopped. He heard footsteps fading into silence. She'd given up. Probably the heat, he thought. It was the kind of weather, giving up kind of weather. He went back to lying on the floor. Thwop, thwop. Then he heard the basement door open. Psh! Evan caught the ball and froze. Evan! Jessie's voice sounded echoey in the darkness. Evan! You down there? Evan held his breath. He lay completely still. The only thing that moved was the pins and needles prickling in his fingers. He heard the door start to close. Long breath out. But then it stopped and opened again. Footsteps on the carpeted stairs. A black outline of Jessie standing on the bottom step with daylight squirting all around her. Evan didn't move a muscle. Evan, is that you? Jessie took one short step into the basement. Is that? She inched her way toward him, then kicked him with her bare foot. Hey, watch it, would ya? Said Evan, swatting her leg. He suddenly felt stupid lying there in the dark. I thought you were in a sleeping bag, she said. I couldn't see. What are you doing down here? How come the lights are off? It's too hot with the lights on, he said. He talked in a flat voice, trying to sound like the most boring person on the whole planet. If he kept it up, Jessie might just leave him alone. Mom's back in her office, said Jessie, lying down on the couch. Working. She groaned as she said the word. Evan didn't say anything. He went back to throwing the ball. Straight up, straight down. Maybe silence would get Jessie to leave. He was starting to feel words piling up inside him, crowding his lungs, forcing out all the air. It was like having a chest full of bats, beating their wings, fighting to get out. She tried to move the air conditioner, but it's too heavy, said Jessie. Evan tightened up his lips. Go away, he thought. Go away before I say something mean. It's gonna be hot all week, Jessie continued. In the 90s, all the way up till Labor Day. Blop, blop. So, what do you want to do? Jessie asked. Scream, thought Evan. Jessie never got it when you were giving her the big freeze. She just went right on acting, as if everything were great. It made it really hard to tell her to bug off without telling her to bug off. Whenever Evan did that, he felt bad. So, what do you want to do? Jessie asked again, nudging him with her foot. It was a direct question. Evan had to answer it or explain why he wouldn't, and he couldn't get into that. It was too complicated, too hurtful. Huh? So, what do you want to do? She asked for the third time. Doing it, said Evan. Nah, come on, for real. For real, he said. We could ride our bikes to the 7-Eleven, she said. No money, he said. You just got $10 from Grandma for your birthday. Spend it, said Evan. On what? Stuff, Evan said. Well, Jessie's voice dribbled down to nothing. Evan stopped throwing the ball and looked at her. What? Jessie pulled her legs tight to her chest. Nothing, she said. Right, said Evan. He knew that Jessie had money. Jessie always had money squirreled away in her lockbox. But that didn't mean she was going to share it. Evan went back to throwing the baseball. He felt a tiny flame of anger shoot up and lick his face. Whop, whop. We could build a fort in the woods, said Jessie. Too hot. We could play a stratego. Too boring. We could build a track and race marbles. Too stupid. A thin spider web of sweat draped itself over his forehead, spreading into his hair. With every throw, he told himself, it's not her fault, but he could feel his anger growing. He started popping his elbow to put a little more juice on the ball. It was flying a good 4 feet in the air every time. Straight up, straight down. Pop, flop, pop, flop. The bats in his chest were going nuts. Does he really have bats in his chest? No, obviously not. But he feels that way. He's got all this pent-up emotion and things inside of him. But he's using really good self-control, right? He's not letting any of it out yet. What's the matter with you? Asked Jessie. You've been so weird the last couple of days. Oh man, here they come. I just don't want to play a dumb game like Stratego, he said. You like Stratego. I only picked that because it's your favorite game. I was being nice, in case you hadn't noticed. Look, there are only 6 days left of summer, and I'm not going to waste them playing a dumb game. Evan felt his heartbeat speed up. Part of him wanted to stuff a sock in his mouth, and part of him wanted to deck his sister. You know what that means, right? Punch his sister. It's a stupid game, and it's for babies, and I don't want to play a stupid baby game. Pop, flop, pop, flop. Why are you being so mean? Evan knew he was being mean, and he hated being mean, especially to her, but he couldn't help it. He was so angry and so humiliated and so full of bats, there was nothing else he could be, except alone, and she'd taken even that away from him. You're the genius, he said. You figure it out. Good, that would shut her up, for once. Evan watched the ball fly in the air. Is this because of the letter? Jessie asked. Crack. Evan had taken his eyes off the ball for 1 second. Just 1 second, and the ball came crashing down on his nose. Crud! Oh, crud! He curled over onto his side, grabbing his nose with both hands. There was a blinding, blooming pain right behind his eyes that was quickly spreading to outer edges of his skull. Do you want some ice? He heard Jessie ask in a calm voice. What do you think? he shouted. Yeah? She stood up. No, I don't want any stupid ice. The pain was starting to go away, like a humongous wave that crashes with a lot of noise and spray, but then slowly fizzles away into nothing. Evan rolled into a sitting position and took his hands away from his nose. With his thumb and index finger, he started to pinch the bridge. Was it still in a straight line? You guys know what the bridge of your nose is this part right here, right? So what is he worried about right now? Probably that he broke it. Jessie peered at his face in the dim light. You're not bleeding. Yeah, well, it hurts, he said. A lot. It's not broken, she said. You don't know that, he said. You don't know everything. You think you do, but you don't. Evan held his nose with one hand and hit his sister's knee with the other. Then he picked up the baseball and struggled to his feet. Leave me alone. I came down here to get away from you, and you just had to follow. You ruined everything. You ruined my summer, and now you're going to ruin school. I hate you. When he got to the bottom of the steps, he threw the baseball down in disgust. Thud. Wow. Meet our characters, right? We have Evan, clearly the older brother, and we have Jessie, his sister. So far, Evan hasn't exactly been very nice. But then again, we don't know what's happened yet that caused him to be so angry, right? And have all this pent-up emotion. And then there's Jessie. She's just the sister, wanting to know where he is and wanting to see if he wants to play and hang out. I'm sure you guys know what it's like. Your parents have to work and there's nobody to hang out with. If you have a brother or sister, then you kind of hope that they'll play with you and hang out and do something fun together. But instead, he's just being mean to her, and she doesn't seem to know why. All right, boys and girls, that's the end of chapter 1. So now that you have heard chapter 1, let me give you a sneak peek at what this is going to look like for your assignment for chapter 1. So you've already opened up the Lemonade War. I'm sorry that my computer is a little bit slow. So as we go through, you're going to notice that these pages are all yellow in the background. Yellow, like lemonade, right? Those are the pages that I'm hoping we will all get to. You'll see in some of our future assignments that some of them will be a different color, and those are kind of the extras I've thrown in, just in case you're interested. So chapter 1, slump. It's a drop in the activity of a business or economy. Were they open with a business right now? No, right? So how does the word slump relate to the main events and feelings expressed in chapter 1? This drop in activity. Who seems to be in a slump? You're going to type your thoughts in this box right here. Okay, if you double click, you'll get the little cursor. When you go to the next slide, you'll see it says drawing inferences. Okay? And you make an inference by using text clues plus your own background knowledge to figure something out that the author doesn't tell you. So now that we've gone through chapter 1, you might have some questions, right? And we want to see what information is our author leaving out. So you're going to be watching this little video right here, and I was hoping that the little play button would work, but it didn't. So instead, you're going to click here. And when you do that, you'll see the little video come up, and you're going to click on that, and it's only a little 6-minute video, okay? And it's going to talk about drawing inferences or making inferences. Now, a lot of you have probably done this in school before, but it's always a good idea to have a little refresher, right? After all, making inferences is an important life skill, and it's a very important reading skill. So you can either answer this question at the bottom before, or you can do it after you watch the video. But I want you to think of some questions that you have. What might you be wondering? What did the author leave out? Okay. Then, when you go to the next slide, again, we're talking about drawing inferences. Here we have a quote directly from the book. It says, "Leave me alone. I came down here to get away from you, and you just had to follow. You ruined everything. You ruined my summer, and now you're going to ruin school. I hate you." Pretty strong words, right? So what you're going to do is answer this part. What does the text tell us about Evan is feeling? You're going to make the inference. Think about the words. The words are that text clue. Then use your own brain. Okay? You have enough life experience in dealing with other people. If somebody was talking like this to you, what would that say about how they're feeling? Okay? So what you're going to do down here is make that inference. We've started the sentence for you. I can infer that Evan, well, how is he feeling? Evan is feeling what? And tell me why you think that, okay? Just, getting what he's feeling isn't enough. You've got to be able to back it up and tell me why. And then finally, figurative language. Figurative language comes up a lot in literature. It adds to the description of the text. So in this chapter, Evan says it was like having a chest full of bats, beating their wings, fighting to get out. Well, he didn't really have bats in his chest, right? But he said it was like there were a bunch of bats inside his chest. So what does that mean? Okay. So similarly, he's comparing that feeling inside to a bunch of bats beating their wings and they're fighting to get out. Okay. So why, look at the question down here, why would the author use the words chest full of bats to convey how Evan is feeling? Why do you think he said it was like bats inside? You're going to type your thoughts here. Now up here, there's a nice little video to watch all about similes and metaphors because these two types of figurative language are very, very similar. All right, once you've done that, boys and girls, you have finished this part for chapter 1 and you'll be ready to turn in your slide deck. All right, get to work.